Look at that. It does close. The water was still a little hot, but not so hot that I couldn't shower. I discarded my clothes on the floor, carefully stepped into the tub, and then slowly lay down in it. I scooped the hot water in both hands and washed my face, letting out a big sigh. It was like I had come back to life. If only the owners of the house didn't come back, then I could take as much time as I wanted and go home sometime the next day. When you feel good, you get so much more energy. I dreamt freely of what I wanted to happen. But that's not gonna happen, is it? I turned the shower tap. It was no longer stupidly hot. It felt nice. I'd carelessly forgotten the soap and a towel. I wiped the mud off my feet with my hands. The water grew dirtier. And that's what happens when you have a Western-style bath. Look at me, saying whatever the hell I wanted in a stranger's bath. I liked it. Well, suppose I should get out now. I spoke loudly so Nami would hear me, but there was no response from the outside. I banged on the sliding door. I'm coming out now. But no answer. Strange. Maybe she went somewhere. I got it. She was hiding somewhere to scare me. I grabbed the sliding door and spoke. I know you're out there. But the door wouldn't open. It budged only enough to fit a finger through, and pushing it back just closed it. Come on, I already know you're there. Let me out. I shook and banged the door from the inside, thinking that Nami was keeping it closed. But looking closer, it didn't seem that Nami was actually there. This is because we forced the door shut when it didn't fit properly. I lifted and lowered the door, trying everything I could think of. It rattled and shook, but wouldn't open. Suddenly, hot water started pouring out of the shower head. I rushed over and turned the tap, but it was already closed all the way. No way. A bad feeling came over me. Nami! Open up! Nami! I screamed as loud as I could, but there was no response. Looking down, I saw a metal board the size of a piece of chewing gum jammed into the sliding rail. What the hell is this? It resembled a tiny pole used for hanging clothes, and it was keeping the door from opening. No doubt about it, this was why the door wouldn't open. I strained hard enough to nearly tear my finger off, but it was no good. What am I supposed to do? I looked for a window, but it was too small for me to get out of. My bad feeling was right on the money. The hot water coming out of the shower grew even hotter. White steam filled the room. It grew hard to breathe. I couldn't stand it any longer. I smashed the glass and stepped outside. Hang on. Terrifying ideas ran through my mind as I got dressed. The temperature had gradually gotten hotter while I was in there, which was fine. But what would have happened if the door had gotten stuck on Nami when she was in there earlier? It was only by chance that Nami couldn't close the door fully, because she wasn't strong enough to, thankfully. But what if I'd gone in first? I grew worried about Nami. Maybe she's looking for her watch. I went to the dining room. Maybe she's looking for her watch. I went to the dining room, but Nami wasn't there. I went all the way into the kitchen, just in case, but she wasn't there either. Where'd she go? Just then, somebody in white clothing passed down the hall. I turned towards the door in haste and briefly saw the sleeve of a dress. Who's there? I rushed after them. But there was nobody in the hall. That's odd. Nami wasn't wearing anything like that. I wandered aimlessly towards the front entrance. I heard a voice on the second floor. I listened closer. It suddenly stopped. Odd. I definitely heard something just now. I quietly made my way upstairs. When I reached the top of the stairs, I heard voices down the end of the hall. As I got closer, they grew clearer. It sounded like a young man and woman talking. Had the residents of the house finally come home? Judging by the tone of their voices, they seemed like cheerful people. Had I been worrying myself over nothing because of all the strange things that had been happening? If so, then I'd entered their house without permission and committed all sorts of wrongs. How could I even begin to start apologizing for it all? Confused about the best course of action to take, I found myself in front of the room. At any rate, I had to apologize and introduce myself. I extended my arm to knock. But then the conversation suddenly cut off. The door opened slightly. Did they notice I was there? I froze and waited for someone to appear from inside. I could see a white hand in the open gap. It was a woman. I mumbled without thinking. The woman inside suddenly backed away. She also held her breath. The next moment, she suddenly apologized. I'm sorry. Huh? It was Nami's voice. Eh? Nami? Tara-san? I pushed the door open, and Nami was standing inside. What the hell? What? All the energy drained from my body. What are you doing? I thought the residents had returned. So did I. Don't scare me like that. What are you doing in there? You weren't there when I got out of the shower, so I was worried. That's not it. Listen. Nami's eyes glistened like she was about to tell me the story of some amazing adventure. I was looking for my watch when I heard a voice upstairs. I thought for sure the owners of the house were back. Yeah, me too. That's why I came up here. And then... Nami slapped my shoulder as she laughed. It's hilarious. Hear me out. I'm listening. What do you think happened? I don't know. Right, so listen. I already said I'm listening. I was getting annoyed. Thinking the owners were inside, I knocked on the door, so nervous. They didn't answer me, but I could hear voices. Then I flung the door open, and then, quit laughing and spit it out already. Nobody was here. So, what do you think it was? Give me a break already. I was worried about you. I screamed. I'm sorry. Nami suddenly stopped in the middle of her sentence, like she was about to deliver some major news. It was a radio. A radio. See? Over there. Nami pointed to a black radio inside the room. Huh. So it is. So then why didn't you come back down right away? I was so worried. Yeah, so about that. Nami cast her eyes over to a chest of drawers. 2 European-looking little girl dolls sat on top of it. They both wore red pinafore dresses and looked exactly the same. I feel like I've seen these dolls somewhere before. These? I grabbed one. Let me touch it. Nami reached out with both hands to take the dolls, treating them very gently as she rubbed her cheeks against them. Ooh-ah! An expression of relief that I'd never seen before washed over her face. What's wrong? This really takes me back. It's like I'm a kid again. All these dolls look the same to a guy like me. You're wrong. They're different. They're special. Nami closed her eyes, enchanted by the dolls. Girls were beyond my understanding. Oh, yeah, so I saw someone before. Maybe it's the person who lives here. Huh? I think it was a woman in a white dress. Nami opened her eyes. She still seemed to be in a dream. I want to know who it is, so let's go downstairs and check. I made my way towards the door. Okay. Nami reached out and carefully put the dolls back where they came from, and as she left the room, waved sadly back at them. Bye-bye. Well then, let's continue our expedition. Yeah. As we got downstairs, Nami seemed somewhat down. There's something not right about this door. It was the door facing the entrance. The girl in the white dress might have gone in there. I opened it. A narrow, dark space extended before us. It's like a tunnel. Candlesticks sat in the exposed stone walls. I turned my torch on. There was a door at the end. If you open that door, Nami muttered. Yeah? We'll be back in the same entranceway again. Only time will be reversed. This hall is a tunnel that leads to the past, she said with a straight face. What on earth are you talking about? I made my way down the hall without a second thought. The door was an armored door. Wind blew in from outside through a gap, and the floor before it was wet with rain. If you open it, you'll be in the entrance. I opened the door. Ooh! Suddenly, something cold dangled on my face. It was a vine, wet from the rain. I passed under it and outside. I was on a balcony facing the backyard. The flooring was made of wood, but it apparently hadn't been used in several years and was beginning to rot. A rotten wood table sat in the middle, and there were 3 deck chairs around it, each of them blown over and facing different directions. Wisteria flowers hung down, but now they were entangled with vines, and it looked like the entrance to some haunted house. The rain had completely stopped, and cold water drops from the vines landed on my face. What an entrance, I said sarcastically, but Nami seemed to hear me. She suddenly grabbed my hand and pointed to a pillar that was supporting the wisteria. "Hey, look at that." "Huh?" "Looks like something shining." So it does. Standing there, like a long, thin shadow, a small yellow light seemed to glow near the bottom. It didn't seem to be a fire or an electrical light. It was a quiet, glistening light. "I wonder if it's Kaguya-hime." "I thought you'd say that." We walked over to the pole. "Ah, it's glow-in-the-dark paint." Horizontal lines about as large as my finger drew in opposite directions to each other. But why is it here? I crouched down and turned towards the bottom line. The original paint on the pole had dried and peeled like a scab. A single character had been painted across that in glow-in-the-dark paint. Looking closer, it looked like a nail or something had been dragged across the surface of the wood. A single character had been carved deep, and to the right of it, something else that looked like a letter had also been carved. What the? Looks like something's written here. I looked closer. But the older paint was uneven, making it difficult to distinguish anything. "If you peel the paint off, you'll be able to see it better," Nami said, and using her nails, she started peeling back the paint. Watching the paint crinkle as she pulled it off was fascinating, and as I watched it, the surface of the wood came into view. Nami. Those were the letters carved into the wood. It felt like something dark was building in the pit of my stomach. As soon as Nami saw it, her finger stopped for just a moment before she went back to peeling the paint off again. "Hey, Nami." I tapped her shoulder from behind, but Nami ignored me and continued peeling back the paint. She ended up peeling back about 10 centimeters of the old paint from the top glow-in-the-dark line to the bottom. In total, there were 4 things carved into the pole, spaced slightly apart. Across, the names read Nami, Naomi, Naomi, and Nami. Nami slowly turned around. Her expression stiffened. "It's a comparison." "Eh? I see. I wonder who Naomi is." "Eh? I'm Nami, right? So who is Naomi?" Hey, what are you saying?" I slapped Nami's shoulder forcefully. "It's gotta be the name of the girl who lives here. You're reading too much into it." "Maybe." "It is. It's just a coincidence." "What's wrong with you? That dark face isn't like you." "I hope so, but..." "Hey, maybe that girl you saw before in the white dress is..." "Huh? Did she look like me?" "No, I didn't see her face." "Really?" Several questions popped into my mind. I wonder why Nami's name is in a place like this. I wonder why Nami's name is in a place like this. Nami. Nami stared at the wood fervently. She didn't look well. We should probably get somewhere away from this place. Hey, let's go inside. We just got clean, so let's not get dirty under the raindrops again. But... Again her expression turned dark. I pressed my lips close to her ears. Or, would you rather both of us go in together next time? Idiot. She finally smiled a little. Well then, let's go. Yeah. I grabbed Nami's hand and started walking towards the armoured door. Before stepping through, I turned around, and in the corner of the dark balcony, the remaining glow-in-the-dark paint continued to glow. Shall we check out that room? There was a room we hadn't visited yet, in the left side of the mansion. I made my way towards it. I wonder if it's open. I stood before the door and pulled the handle. It's dark. All I could see was a single candle flame in the corner of the room. There was a switch on the wall in front of me. The lights turned on. The chandelier on the roof was bright. Wow, it's big. Hey, isn't that a piano? Nami pointed to the right side of the room. So it is. Looks like it's a piano hall. We went inside. The other side was nothing but glass doors that faced the backyard. The view was no doubt amazing during the day, but now that it was dark, the glass acted like mirrors, and all it showed was a reflection of the room. Before I knew it, Nami was standing in front of the piano, and she pressed some keys. You can play the piano? I wouldn't say I can play it, but I like the sound it makes. Hey, what song is that? I don't know. I don't know what it's called or who composed it. Did someone teach you? No. I've known it since I was a child, but I don't remember when I first heard it. Even I find it strange. Well, things like that often happen. Nami suddenly stopped playing. What's wrong? Is that the end? Nami looked over my shoulder. Hey, that's... I turned around, and a single portrait hung on the wall behind me. It was a woman around 30, wearing Japanese-style clothes, with a mountain range in the distance, her loose hair hanging over her left shoulder, holding what looked like wild flowers in a bunch before her chest. It's a painting. I can see that. Hey, did you notice? A smile rose to her lips like a challenge. I panicked. Was the person in the picture someone famous? I knew nothing about paintings. Yeah. Looks like an early Picasso, I bluffed. Looks like an early Picasso. Heh? Really? I don't know much about paintings. Seemed I'd been fooled. But that's not what I'm trying to say. Hey, don't you think that woman looks just like me? Eh? That was unexpected. I looked closely at the woman in the picture once more. I didn't get what Nami meant. What exactly about the woman was supposed to look like her? The woman's makeup was old-fashioned, and the entire thing itself looked old. It was hard to connect it to modern-day Nami. But the longer I looked at it, the more I could see it. Like her eyes and jawline looked the same. And then I noticed something else. Nami had a habit of jutting her chin forward a little when she tilted her head to laugh. This broke the balance of her features and made her expression look somewhat homely. It left the worrisome impression of a baby that couldn't hold its own neck up. And I loved Nami's smile, but every time she did, her expression always made me feel like she was going to destroy the thing most precious to me. The woman's smile in the picture held that same danger. It wasn't so much that they shared any similarities on the surface, but more that their habits and expressions were the same. Not at all. You don't look alike at all. But I lied, because I didn't understand it. Really. Nami gave a small smile and tilted her head. She was the spitting image. A chill ran down my spine. I mean, come on, Nami. Look how pretty she is. I turned my head to avoid her gaze. So you're saying I'm ugly? Nami hit the piano and stood up. I didn't say you're ugly. You did, just now. I didn't. You did. Nami sneered angrily. Now they looked nothing alike at all. No, I mean... I smiled despite myself. I did. What are you smiling about? I'm not going to play the piano for you anymore. Nami turned her back to me. Then a wind blew in. Oh no! As soon as the curtain blew, the candle fire on the piano caught on it, setting the thin curtain ablaze. Kya! The curtain covered Nami's face. Nami! I rushed over and pulled the curtain. The metal fittings on the curtain rail popped off one after the other. I threw the lit curtain to the floor and stomped on it in a panic. The flames were strong, but thankfully the curtain material was thin. I managed to extinguish it without the flames spreading. Phew, that nearly turned into a big fire. Nami, are you okay? No answer. She stood with her back to me, standing in front of the wall. What's wrong? Did you get burnt? Nami didn't turn around at my question, but slowly nodded. Where? Where are you burnt? The face. Eh? I approached her, and she silently pointed at the picture of the woman. When the curtain blew, the heat bubbled the paint, and the right half of the woman's face looked like it had suffered a bad burn. Ah, I see. That's what you meant. You scared me. I thought for sure you'd... I smiled, relieved. But then Nami suddenly started saying something strange. Mum? Big sis? Big sis? I didn't know what she was saying. Nami was an only child. I was at a loss when Nami suddenly jerked and started trembling and then ran for the door. Where are you going? I panicked and grabbed Nami's arm. Let go of me! I need to find that mummy. Mummy? You mean the mummy in that wheelchair? Yes! So let me go! Nami struggled, half crazed, trying to escape my grip. Calm down, Nami. What's wrong? Let go of me! No! Just calm down! I tightly grabbed her shoulders and stared into her eyes. What is going on? Tell me! I've been here before. I lived here. That was the first I'd heard of it. When you say you used to, when was that? I don't know. But it was when I was a kid. With my mother and father and older sister. Older sister? Aren't you an only child? No. I had an older sister. Nami muttered vacantly. Why were you hiding that until now? You never told me anything about... I wasn't hiding it. I didn't hide it from you. I only realized it just now. I only just remembered it. It's a huge shock, realizing I have another mother. I only just realized. I just remembered. Her lips trembled. Sorry, I didn't mean to put it like that. I apologized, but it was still an unbelievable story. How could Nami have previously lived in a mansion that we just happened to come across? But, Nami, it's not like I don't believe you, but maybe you're mistaken. I mean, since we got here, nothing but strange things have happened, and we're tired and seeing things that aren't really there. No, they're not hallucinations. Nami shook her head.